You think you can just ignore the rules. This is a community, not your private kingdom. I've been a board member for 5 years, and I'm telling you, you're in violation. The shrill, nasal voice of Karen sliced through the warm afternoon air, a buzzing mosquito of pure entitlement. My fiancée, Sarah, squeezed my arm, her knuckles white. I could feel the tremor in her hand, the stress of this woman's relentless campaign against us. For 3 weeks straight, it had been a daily ritual, the door knock, the condescending lecture, the threats. Today, however, she had escalated, pushing open the gate to our backyard without permission. My breath hitched. This was new. This was a line crossed. Her eyes, magnified by her thick glasses, scanned the pristine water of our pool with a possessive glint. This is a shared amenity. And I will have my key. Karen, for the last time, I began, my voice a low rumble, a countercurrent to her high-pitched fury. You can't just walk onto our property. We haven't violated any rules because we aren't part of the HOA, we never have been. I watched the words hit her like a splash of cold water. The confident smirk on her face faltered for just a second, a tiny crack in her armor of self-righteousness, before it hardened again, this time with a venomous disbelief. That's impossible. Every home in this subdivision is part of the HOA, it's written into the deed. You're lying. You're just trying to get out of your dues. The accusation hung in the air, thick and sticky. Sarah's shoulders slumped. She had tried to explain this to Karen, to show her the paperwork, but Karen had refused to listen. It was like talking to a brick wall coated in passive-aggressive syrup. A long, exhausted sigh escaped my lips. I gestured toward the fence line. Look, we've shown you the documents. We are on the other side of the original development line. Our property was annexed after the HOA was formed. We pay our own city taxes for maintenance, not HOA dues. The pool is ours, and ours alone. As I spoke, I noticed a figure emerge from the shade of a nearby oak tree. It was our neighbor, old Mr. Henderson, who had been watching us from his lawn chair, a quiet and kind man who rarely spoke a word. He held a small, weathered leather book in his hands, his finger marking a page. He shuffled forward, his gaze steady on Karen. Ma'am, I believe young Ben is telling you the truth. His voice, though soft, was as firm as bedrock. My wife and I have lived here for 42 years. We remember when this whole section was just undeveloped land. We were on the first HOA board. Ben's property, it's in the old annexation. Not part of our association. Karen's face flushed a deep crimson. The sound of her sharp intake of breath was audible, a tiny gasp of outrage. Mr. Henderson. You're retired. You're not on the board anymore. What do you know? Her voice was a hiss now, all pretense of community concern gone, replaced by a desperate need to be right. This was it. The twist. Mr. Henderson simply smiled, a sad, knowing look in his eyes. He extended the book. This is a copy of the original HOA charter, signed by all the founding members. You'll find my signature right there. And you'll also find the exact legal description of the properties included. The original plat map stops at Ben's property line. He pointed a shaky finger at a section of the document. My son, the one you voted out of the landscaping committee last year, he's a land surveyor now. He resurveyed the old boundary for Ben's property. Confirmed it all. The legal description is crystal clear. The information landed with a heavy thud. Karen's eyes darted between me, Mr. Henderson, and the document. She looked like a cornered animal. This wasn't just about a pool anymore, it was about her authority. Her carefully constructed little world of power was crumbling around her. She turned her fury back on me, her voice rising to a fever pitch. You tricked us. You kept this a secret just to spite the community. This was absurd. I hadn't tricked anyone. I had simply bought a house. But logic was a foreign language to her. I'm calling the police, she declared, whipping out her phone. Trespassing. Harassment. Vandalism. I'll have you thrown out of this neighborhood. My heart hammered against my ribs. Sarah's grip tightened, her breath coming in short, panicked gasps. Karen was unhinged, a whirlwind of baseless accusations. Vandalism? What are you talking about? I asked, my voice edged with confusion and fear. Karen's finger stabbed at the small wooden sign near the deck post. That sign is an eyesore. It's an act of defiance. It devalues the property of everyone here. Wait, the sign. I had made that a few weeks ago as a joke for Sarah, a playful nod to our freedom from the HOA's rules. It was a simple, hand-painted sign on a scrap piece of wood. It couldn't be what she was referring to. But her eyes were fixed on the words, my pool, my rules. HOA free. Her face was a storm cloud of righteous indignation. She truly believed this was some kind of attack. Suddenly, another voice cut in, this one a low, authoritative baritone. Ma'am, is this your property? A police officer was standing at our gate, talking to a second officer. My mind raced. Had she already called them before she even entered the yard? No. It's theirs. But they are in violation. Karen shrieked, gesturing wildly at me. The officers entered the yard, their expressions unreadable. The first officer, a tall man with a calm demeanor, looked from Karen to me, then to Mr. Henderson. We received a call about a heated dispute. Can you all explain what's going on? Karen, of course, launched into her dramatic, exaggerated version of events. She painted a picture of us as recalcitrant, rule-breaking scofflaws, intentionally flaunting our pool access and harassing her when she, as a benevolent HOA board member, was simply trying to enforce community standards. She deliberately omitted the part where she walked onto our property without permission. The officer listened patiently, his gaze occasionally flicking to Mr. Henderson, who stood quietly holding his book. My stomach was in knots. How do you fight this kind of madness? Then, the officer turned to me. Sir, your side of the story. I took a deep breath. My voice was surprisingly steady. Officer, she has been harassing us for weeks, demanding access to our private pool, claiming we owe HOA dues. As Mr. Henderson here can attest, we are not part of the HOA. We've shown her the legal paperwork. Today, she came onto our property without permission. I hesitated for a moment, then added, and she's claiming a small, wooden sign I made is vandalism. The officer looked at the small sign, then back at Karen. He cleared his throat. Ma'am, trespassing is a civil matter, but harassment is a serious charge. If you do not have a legal right to be on this property, and you are repeatedly making demands of the owners, that could be considered harassment. The bottom of Karen's jaw went slack. The blood drained from her face. The smugness was completely gone, replaced by pure, unadulterated fear. She began to stammer, her voice a shadow of its former self. But the board, my position, they'll have my head. This was it. The grand finale. The officer, sensing the shift in power, held up a hand. I understand you have a position on the HOA board, but that does not give you the right to trespass or harass your neighbors. The board doesn't have jurisdiction here. He turned to me. Sir, if she returns, please call us immediately. We can issue a no-contact order. He then looked pointedly at Karen. Ma'am, I suggest you go home. This is not the way to handle neighborly disputes. And for your own sake, you might want to look at those deed documents Mr. Henderson has. Karen, a deflated balloon of self-importance, was escorted out of our yard by the officers, muttering incoherently about her perfect record and the injustice of it all. As the gate clicked shut behind them, the silence felt deafening. Sarah finally let out a long, shaky breath, burying her face in my chest. I held her close, stroking her hair. Mr. Henderson gave us a gentle nod, a small smile on his face, before shuffling back to his own yard. The air, once thick with tension, now felt light and free. The pool water glistened under the sun, an oasis of peace. We had won. The battle was over. The feeling wasn't one of victory, but of profound, exhausted relief. We weren't just part of a community, we were a family, and we had stood up for ourselves. And in the end, that was what mattered most. The silence of a long-fought battle. A moment of true peace. It makes you think, doesn't it? Who was really in the wrong here? Karen, for her misplaced entitlement, or was I to blame for not making it clearer from the start? Was it even about a pool, or was it about something deeper? I'd love to hear your thoughts.